You think death is the end. One moment you're here, and the next, you're gone. Your body simply switches off, like a light. Quiet. Still finished. But that's not what happens. Because in the minutes and hours after you die, your body doesn't go quiet at all. It gets busy. Cells keep working. Muscles move on their own. Chemistry you never knew existed kicks into gear. In a very real sense, the machine keeps running long after the driver has left. And what it does next is far stranger than anything you've been told. So, let's walk through it minute by minute. What actually happens to your body right after the moment you die? Here's the first thing most people get wrong. They imagine death as a single instant. 1 second alive, the next second not. A clean switch, flipped from on to off. But death isn't a switch, it's a process. And it doesn't happen everywhere in your body at the same time. When your heart stops, that's what we call clinical death. Blood stops moving. Oxygen stops arriving. But your cells don't get the message right away. Trillions of them are still alive, still working, still doing their jobs, completely unaware that the body they belong to has just died. To them, nothing has changed yet. They keep going, running on the last of their fuel, like workers in a factory who haven't heard the announcement that the company just shut down. This is why, in those first minutes, you're dead and alive at the same time, depending on which part of you you're asking. The first big change you'd actually notice is temperature. While you're alive, your body works incredibly hard to hold itself at around 37 degrees Celsius. That warmth costs energy generated every second by your living cells. The moment that engine stops, the heat generation stops with it. And so your body begins to do something simple and inevitable. It starts to cool, drifting slowly toward the temperature of the room around it. This cooling happens at a fairly steady, predictable rate. So steady, in fact, that it becomes one of the first tools used to estimate how long ago someone died. Your cooling body becomes a clock. Next comes the change most people have heard of, even if they've never understood it: the stiffening. A few hours after death, the body becomes rigid, locked in place. This is rigor mortis. And the reason it happens is oddly beautiful. To relax a muscle, your body actually has to spend energy. Relaxation isn't the absence of effort. It requires fuel. While you're alive, your cells constantly produce that fuel, so your muscles can loosen and move freely. But after death, the fuel supply runs out. Without it, the muscles can no longer release. They seize up and lock, frozen exactly where they are. Your body stiffens, not because something switched on, but because the thing that kept it loose finally ran dry. But here's the part almost nobody knows. Rigor mortis doesn't last. After roughly a day or two, the body relaxes again, going soft and loose once more. Why? Because the same cells that locked everything in place begin to break down entirely. The structures holding the muscles rigid fall apart, and the stiffness simply dissolves away. The body tightens, and then on its own schedule, it lets go. And now we reach the strangest turn of all, because up to this point, your own cells have been the main characters. But now something else takes over. Your entire life, your body was home to trillions of bacteria, most of them living in your gut, kept carefully in check by your immune system. They helped you digest food. They lived alongside you, controlled, contained, useful. But your immune system runs on the same power that everything else does. And when the power goes out, the guards leave their posts. With nothing left to hold them back, those bacteria are suddenly free. And they begin to spread outward from the gut, moving through the body, breaking things down as they go. The living passengers you carried your whole life become the force that quietly begins to reclaim you. It's not an invasion from outside. It was inside you the entire time, just waiting. So that's the body. But what about you? The part that thinks, that remembers, that experiences. What happens to that in those final minutes? This is where the science gets genuinely uncertain and genuinely fascinating. When the heart stops and oxygen stops flowing to the brain, consciousness fades quickly, within seconds. But the brain doesn't necessarily shut down all at once. There's evidence that in the moments around death, the brain can show a strange, sudden surge of activity, a burst of electrical signals, unusually organized, unusually intense. Some scientists have wondered whether this could be connected to the vivid experiences people sometimes report after coming close to death. We don't fully understand it yet. It's one of the great open questions, but it means the final chapter of A. Life may not be a slow, silent fade. It may be one last powerful flare of the mind, right at the edge. So let's come back to where we started, to the idea that death is a single, silent moment, an off switch. It isn't. Death is a sequence, a slow, strange handover. Your heart stops, but your cells keep working. Your body cools, becomes a clock. It stiffens, then relaxes. The life you carried inside you stirs and begins its quiet work. And somewhere in those first seconds, your mind may burn brightest just as it lets go. You were never a light switch. You were a vast, complicated machine made of trillions of living parts. And when the driver finally steps away, the machine doesn't just stop. It winds down, piece by piece, on its own strange schedule. So the next time you imagine that final moment as simply the end, remember what's really happening in there. Death isn't the instant everything stops. It's the long, quiet, remarkable process of a body letting go of the life it held for so long,